Welcome, family. This is Dia Nunez with the H2O Network, and welcome to our 2013 end of the show. We have Astrorisa Moon with us. Y'all know who I'm talking about because I speak about her a lot on the H2O Network and her wonderful moon charts. Of course, if you've never listened to this before, for the past couple of years, we've gotten together, me and my water sister, and we've assessed the year before and the year that we're going to walk into. We're going to talk about 2013, what's happening on 2014, and many other things in between. Make sure that you check out the H2O Network on Facebook. Type into your search engine, DIANUNEZ, 2 profiles, friend them both, and also Astrorisa Moon. .com, and also Astrorisa Moon page. I'm on her Facebook page right now because you guys know I have a million tabs open because I'm constantly looking at things. Come and hang out with us. We love her moon chart. She puts it down on the burner for real. She has everybody strung out on her moon charts. So make sure that you come hang out with us and her, and that you go again to Astrorisa Moon. .com and click on that link, subscribe, and also become a paid subscriber. There's so many wonderful things that are going down on the burner. But thank you, sis, for coming to hang out with us on the HO Network for the end of the year.
Oh, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I look so forward to doing this with you every year. Well, I look forward to even speaking to you and listening to your show. It's wonderful. I love it. You're doing some really great things. But, this is just like the delight of the highlight for my year is always just coming and we just get together and we just kick it. We let Egg Moon just talk. And we do our thing. So thank you again for having me on the show, as always.
Well, of course, we have to put it down on the burner and act a fool before the end of the year finishes up. You know how we do in family. If you've listened to our past year in review and what's ahead of us, y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you feel like this, but I know that I feel like this. This has been It's been a year of growth. It's been a year of getting my weave pulled out about 1,000,001 times and having to go down to the store and get some new hair. It's been really crazy this year. What is your assessment of 2013? You know I'm going to put it down and say it like it is, so I'm keeping it real.
No, it has. It's been a rough year. It's been a very challenging year for myself and for just about everybody I know. Actually, everybody I know. I don't know anyone who said, "Oh yeah, this was a wonderful year." But I mean, there's always something positive and something good that manifests throughout all these trials and tribulations. So it's been a pretty interesting year. It's been different in the sense that like I was talking to you earlier. We're working with more men this year, so that's a beautiful thing because. A lot of women are into, the healing and those type of things, but we've got more and more young men coming and they're like in their 20s and early 30s, and so that's a beautiful thing. So that's a change and transformation in itself, which is good. And I say that, change and transformation, because, we are still in the karmic moon right now which started August 30th, 2012, and it runs to February 18th, 2014. And that, of course, was is the karmic moon of Scorpio, which is, of course, Orisha. So, this whole year, 2013, we got the gamut of that kind of energy. So many forms of change and transformation that we've gone through this year. A lot of really interesting things have happened. Even, like my webpage, had to change that up a bit, shorten the URL, make the loft a lot more cozier. We really delve into topics that are sometimes not comfortable but are necessary. And that, anytime you're working with lunar energy, you're dealing with that, things are not going to be bright, sunny, and sunshiny. Many times you're going to have to deal with what is stirring underneath and dredge that up, but deal with it. And so, but at the same time, we have lighthearted things on there as well, lighthearted videos and lighthearted music, and we try to keep the balance. But it's really good. It's really good. It's been a good year. It's a year of growth for so many of us, and it's really letting us know where our strengths and weaknesses are. You know, talking about this being the karmic moon, and I just want to say for those of your listeners who aren't sure what I mean when I talk about the karmic moon, we're really talking about where's the north node on a generational level. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're measuring from August 30th, 2012 up to February 18th, 2014, the generational north node. And so, of course, that is in Scorpio. And so when you're following the moon and you're looking at the karmic moon, you're looking at the uncomfortable. What do I have to work on? Where am I going? So that's why, like, when you and I get together and we're talking about at the end of the year, we're not looking at only where do we come from, but our main objective is where are we going to go as a collective, as a unified consciousness. What is it that we have to work on? And that's what that's about. And before I forget, I'll have to, just mention also for those that have asked the question and were a bit confused about the work that I do, and you as well, because when, I listen to your show, and you're always coming from a Gungun perspective, and so it's like, well, they're Orisha priests, why are they talking about Gungun? So I have to just say, because Egun wants me to, that it's really important for people to be clear about the foundation and the base of indigenous spirituality. And I say indigenous spiritual, that runs the gamut. And I think that makes it more, saying indigenous, people are more clear about what we're talking about. That is the base of the base of the base. So indigenous spirituality always comes from the basics, the foundation, and the foundation of everything is your ancestors. So, in our system we say, Orisha be a Gungun Kosi, and that means that the Orisha didn't birth the Egungun. So the meaning is then, you can look at that as your base of your lineage, the foundation of all institutions and laws are created and come into existence, via your ancestral realm. So who should we be listening to? Your ancestors. There are also not only your collective ancestors, but there are national ancestors. There are world ancestors as well. And so they all have something to say. So they are very interested in what is going on with the people. And so this is why we feel so comfortable in sharing the messages of that. I've had some people say, well, what does Ifa say? It's only what Ifa say. But Ifa is also an Orisha. And all the Orisha and all the Egungun, all at the end of the day are bringing directives from Olodumare, the Most High. They are all the emissaries. So one's message is no more important than the other's because they're really not their messages. It's really the messages of the Most High anyway. And so each message has a purpose and a directive to particular groups of time and space. And so in this case, we're talking about Gungun. So I wanted to just be real clear as the importance of what you do and what I do. And there's so many of us who are Orisha priests, but also do Egun. And so I just had to say that, okay, I cleared the table,
Well, let me just put in my 2 cents since you're clearing in the table.
Yeah.
And people do understand this who are in the know and understand. You're born with your DNA. You're born with your ancestors and the guides who come here with you. You pay for Orisha. Needless to say, not everyone's meant to be a priest. There are many people of title, but they don't really understand what that is. And anyone who deals in that genre, must I say, be bold enough to say, you can't even knock on the door of Orisha unless you have your spiritual core correct and straight.
Right.
That's just the bottom line. So, we're walking Eguns in nature. So you can't run before you can walk. So to me, it just is logical and doesn't make sense when people are like, well, you're a priest, and you talk about Egun. Of course, because I couldn't have gotten here without them. I'm not going to get into it, but when you say stuff like that, my hairs raise up, because they're the ones that allow you to take the priestly step, if you will. Without their okay, you are not doing anything. I don't care what anyone has heard or what you thought. This is what it is. So when I hear people ask these questions, it just doesn't make any sense to me that it's a foundation. And this year, 2013, is about the essence of foundation. It's about the essence of foundation with family, if you will. So what you're saying is very much on point with the astrological vortexes that have been opened this year, and even with the readings of the year that have been happening in January 2013 about the foundation of the family. If you can, as you stated in a previous phone call, if you break up the essence of family and your ancestral ties, there's much you don't know about knowing thyself in the flesh and in the egg world. So that's very much important, that what you just said. So it's just what it is. You have to say truth, and this is the year of truth, along with this past year.
It is. It is. This was very much a year of truth. Very much. I mean, even like I said, we're finishing up the karmic moon of Scorpio Oya. We're finishing up the water snake year. So it was just heavy, real heavy, and a lot of masks were just ripped off of people's faces. A lot of disillusion and illusion and pretense, again, was exposed. It was a year of, listen, if what you're doing is not from 100% truth, if you're not coming from that vein, then guess what? You're going to get cut open and you're going to get exposed. And that's what happened. So we saw that with the WikiLeaks. We saw that with the Snowden situation.
With the NSA.
Yes. It doesn't matter if people are for it being exposed or not. It doesn't matter. Anything that's not 100% truth, coming from that place of truth, it's going to get exposed. So, we just, and that's painful. That's painful, but until those things happen. We definitely saw that with the Trayvon Martin situation case, where, everyone, so many people are like, oh, there's no racism and all, people are don't see color. First of all, how can you not see color? That's like just negating a person's existence to say you don't see color. That means like you don't see them, But anyway, all of that was going on, it's like, wow, people's root, deepest, darkest feelings really just came to the surface. And, we got a whole lot of, wow, I didn't know that, you really felt that way. You saw people that way. So a lot of that was going on. I know a couple of my friends, they just left Facebook because they were like, they couldn't take the onslaught of just ugliness that was just being hurled back and forth, during this year. So, all the fakers, all the fake stuff is just really being exposed. And so that's heavy.
It's very heavy. It's almost like, and I said this to the HO Network listeners and to my own spirit, if you are doing things or living in a way that is an affront to your spirit and your soul, it's really your soul, because your spirit is a representation or a piece of the omnipotent and omnipresent incarnated in the flesh. So it's like we are now on this journey of finding out what our soul has contracted before we became egg wounds in the flesh. And this is what's going down. So if you are living or producing creations that are not in the essence of what is good for the essence of soul, not just for your own individual self, but for the collective in a good way, it will be ousted. It will be outed. Now, let me just say there is the other side of the coin, because we have many different dualities here on planet Earth, and we have seen that. If you're real, people wilding out, and we've seen, like you said, the WikiLeaks and you know, the NSA and a lot of things. But if it's not into the affront of, if it's an affront to soul, your soul contract, they're not having it. They're like, okay, we're tired of being in preschool. We need to grow up and put on our big girl and big boy panties on, or underwear, and we need to get it moving, because we've wasted too much time being in the same timeline of consciousness, of being, meaning feeling sorry for ourselves or this or that. I mean, that is a spiritual emotion. However, we can't stay there forever. But as a collective, we've been there way too long. We've been under the veil way too long.
True. True. So true. And so, yeah, we, you know, I mean, like I said, and there's a balance there. I mean, you know, a lot of people found a lot of strength this year. A lot of people stood for truth this year. Excuse me. So, you know, it has been and will be a very interesting change from this murky, heavy, watery existence that we dealt with this year. And then, of course, we're moving into 2014, which is going to be a bit fiery. That's going to be a bit fiery. And, you know, I like to look at where we've come from. And I remember you and I were talking, we did the show previously, and we looked at how we were going to move into like 2011. We talked about that in 2010. We definitely talked about how, again, institutions were going to be approached from a more revolutionary stance. And, you know, astrologers talked about the 60s being revisited, you know, during this time frame. So the stance was people going into the streets. I mean, that's one thing Egon said. People in 2011 are going to go in the streets because they're tired of what's happening. January 2011, people went into the streets. We had the Egyptian Revolution. Then that went ahead and trickled over to New York, right? We had the same thing going on. What was that called again? What is that? What were they? What was that called?
It was Occupy
Wall
Street.
Occupy Wall Street. Exactly. Exactly. So that moved into 2012. And I'm mentioning this to say that, you know, that each year, it's a layer upon layers upon layers. It's almost like these are triggers to things that we're going to deal with for years to come or months to come, but many times years to come. These are just like major triggers when you're looking at the karmic moon time. So that was a trigger that moved into 2012. Okay. Now we have the trigger of folks just dealing with, okay, another form of truth that has to be dealt with. You know, first it was to hear my voice. Now it's like, I'm going to, let me, you know what? I've told you what I think. I've showed you what I think. So now I'm now just going to expose you. Okay, so we've moved into that. Okay, that kind of energy now is moving into 2014. In 2014, we have the karmic moon, which is actually in Libra. So, you know, it's all about justice. And Libra is ruled by Oshun. And that actually starts, February 19th, 2014, and that goes until November 11th, 2015. So we've got a nice amount of time to really work through and work on this whole energy. Now we've got Mars, January 1st. Mars is in the first house in Libra. So, I mean, there's just a lot of mental heat for 2014, a lot of mental heat. And so we're looking at then some themes with this karmic moon time, and those themes are really, 2014 is about survival in many different levels. It's about protection, many different levels. It's definitely about the law. So look for that. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Definitely universal law versus man-made laws. Always about family. It seems like, anytime we're talking about the karmic moon time, well, the moon is sacred or associated with the fourth house. But for whatever reason, it's always about those institutions and stability. And for this year, we've got, how many planets in Capricorn? For this year, we got Venus, we got Mercury, we got Pluto, we got the Sun. I consider the moon a planet. I mean, you call it satellite, but I mean, it's still up there. So to me, it's a planet. But we've got all of these in these houses. So it's like this condensed soup of issues that we have to deal with in 2014. Again, dealing with with structure. I think you mentioned that, right?
Indeed, because we have Pluto and Capricorn that
Mm-hmm.
deals, and Pluto rules over power and the misuse of power, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. The energy, the motivation, integrity of purpose of using power, the essence of power, period. So all of
Mm-hmm.
these things that have been power under the veil are now coming up to the surface, and people will begin to rebel. And I don't want to, I'm not saying this as, because me and Astrorisa talked about this before this show. However, I feel that one needs to be aware because, as Orisha said, it's also about protection this year. There are so many vortexes, once again, that will be open within 2014 because it is a 7-year. There are many things that equal the essence of 7 that people are going to be open, and they're not going to understand. They're not going to be able to deal with the conscious pressure of all of these things flipping and recounting themselves. Not really recounting, but amping themselves. The old ways of doing things and thinking are not going to be useful in a lot of ways. So you're going to see a lot of people out into the streets doing some of the things they've done at the end of this year. People opening fire. I was looking at the news the other day, and some guy went into a medical center and literally, just started shooting people and killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to wild out. So one has to be very aware of their surroundings because, as you said, it's very heat, it's very hot. However, all of this needs to come onto the surface because the misuse of power on many different levels has been buried for so many years, and I would even say decades. I'm not even going to say years. I'm going to say decades. The people
Mm-hmm.
are tired. They're not going to know how to really release this energy in the proper ways. I mean, am I off base? But this is what
No,
I'm
no,
feeling and
you
what I'm
are
seeing.
on point.
Okay.
I was just like, yes, I'm piercing my lips so that, I don't keep saying, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and interrupting. But you are totally, totally on point. Yes, indeed. In addition to that, and definitely we could talk more on that. But in addition to that, it's also themes of like letting go.
Mhm.
And also, like, a lot of sneaky stuff. I mean, a lot of sneaky people. I mean, really pay attention to the people that come into your life or attracted to you. But then also, it's also a lot of folks that are looking to provide service and healing and balance, because you have to look at both sides of everything, regardless if we're talking about Libra or not. But we really have to look at both sides. So we're talking about, like situations where people are being set up. Really pay attention to this. I mean, you're going to see a lot of this in the news. Talking again about institutions, I want to jump back because you and I talked last year about 2013 was a time when women were going to really be attacked and kids were really going to be attacked. And then, and Aegon said this. You and I talked about this. You were bringing the messages right along with me, and we saw. Not only have we seen this in the news, we know that when they did the readings of the year in many different locations, they were talking about the same thing. So where was I going with my point? My point was
so much information, right? It's just like a
too much
whirlwind.
Information. Yeah,
yeah.
tie it all together. So 2013, we saw all of that happening. Okay, and so now moving into 2014, that kind of stuff has set off a ripple effect going into 2014. We talked about how because of what's happening with the children, and the children were really key, women and children were key, and that Aegon said that the school systems are going to start changing. Again, we're talking about institutions. Now, some things in institutions have to be revamped, and we know that. But things are going to happen with the school system. I told you that people are going to start pulling their kids out, right? Well, I didn't say it, Aegon said it. And we've seen that recently. I've read something out of, I believe it was the Louisiana newspapers. It was online. This made headline news, where parents are pulling their kids out of the public schools along with community members, and they're beginning to formulate their own schools. That's what they're planning to do because of what's happening in the school system with the kids. So Aegon was saying there's going to be changes in that type of structure. Talking about, you mentioned the heat of 2014. So with all this onslaught of violence against women and violence against children and just lies and deceits and things of that nature and people being fed up, we're also then looking at with this heat and with this mental issue that's going on, a lot of people are really going to be grabbing more and more for weapons. Just like you talked about what happened with people should. Yes. And if you're mentally unstable, then your justification of delivering your form of justice is going to be really off. You follow me?
Absolutely, and I'm smiling because I remember when Olva did the reading of the year and he talked about some of the things that were coming out. It talked about, I believe Obatala said mental stability, instability. So, the pendulum, depending upon where you are in your spiritual growth, the pendulum can fall any which way to the extreme. And this is why I say to people, with all of this energy coming in, all of these changes happening, all of this heat rising up to the surface, some people don't understand and know how to handle the mental instabilities of, one's reality, and they act it out in the world, if you will, against the collective. And this is why you see these school shootings and things on the increase and so on and so forth. It's like the way that my elder explained it is 1 minute someone will be normal, and the next minute they're wilding out, killing everybody. That's how fierce the energy was this year, and I believe that is going to, again, like you said, spill in to 2014 because, once again, we have Pluto in Capricorn squared Uranus in Aries until 2018. So, yeah, So it's going to be
Yeah.
very interesting to say the least. And like you said, with the moon energy, it's all about the essence of growth. But the question is, which way is one going to grow?
Exactly. And then the mental stressors, not if you're not balanced, if you're not stable, if you're not secure and sure, then we know there's the opposite of that. And the opposite of that is it creates chaos. And also there's the fear factor, because of all that has been going on. And, again, people, we're going to see an increase. I mean, we've been seeing an increase of people purchasing weapons, but you're going to see even more people purchasing weapons. People, like grandmas and stuff. I mean, you got people out here doing the knockout game and things of that nature. Don't think that's not going to trigger an onslaught of people strapping themselves, down. So, again, people are going to take justice into their own hands more and more. So we really have to really be mindful and aware of that. Also, the thing with the 2014, that's also the year of the wood horse. So what we also have to look at as well, and just pay attention to the news and just look at it, people really want to do their own thing. So again, if you're not mentally balanced, or if there's an imbalance there, you're going to many people will come up with their own ideas of what that means. If you are balanced, then of course you're looking at, well, how can I change things up in my life to make it better? And so we're going to see a lot of cutting in 2014. Now, what do I mean by cutting? Well, severing of ties. Okay, so many types of severing of ties. If this relationship isn't working, I'm a sever the tie. If that's not working, I'm a sever the tie. So we're going to see a lot of that kind of thing happening. And then, of course, again, a lot of people are just really wanting to move forward. They're feeling the heat growing. If you just talk to people, your everyday Joe, and you're like, how you feel about 2014? They're like, you know what, I'm really ready for it. Everybody says they're ready for the next year, but a lot of people are feeling and sensing that there's this heat that, I can really start moving forward and doing something. And we can really do a lot of positive things. I want to look at the positive aspect now of this moon time. So moving into the positive aspect of it is, a lot of people are going to be doing a lot of thinking and planning and coming together. Again, talking about institutions. So we see where they're beginning to say, I'm going to create something different. I'm going to create my own school. More people have been doing homeschooling, but we're going to see more of the creation of just different new forms of institutions that are happening. People are going to come together and really want to create something better, because 2014 really also is a year about how can I make what's wrong right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that's going on. So if you got your head screwed on tight and you're okay, I can see a lot of people creating a lot of community things and services. Yeah, if your head's not screwed on right, then people taking justice into their own hands. You see what I'm saying? So we really have to really put protection on what we're doing and be really clear and not work by ourselves. Because,
so are you saying it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is that on all different levels, from the mundane to the spiritual, that creative individuals will be coming together, creating strategic plans, and actually doing this in the world? Because I feel like the end of this year, we had that full moon, I believe, in Taurus, which is like the medicine of courage, the medicine of what you learned from the moon before, which was that moon in Scorpio plus the solar eclipse. So everything, all of our resources were being bubbled up to the surface so we could actually see them. We could sort them out. Who was in our resource center? Who can we network with? Who we need to stay away from? And then the bull, using the essence and the courage of the bull, not the stubbornness, the courage of the bull, and using that medicine and taking the knowledge from the past moon and moving it out into the world. That's what it sounds like you're saying to me. Are you saying, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. I think you summed it up perfectly. Yes. It is joining together, but also it's a joining together for survival causes. So it's like this humanitarian energy with it, you know. It's not just about me surviving.
Mm-hmm.
It's about us surviving. So yes. And you said something very key also. You talked about how our resources are bubbling up. Definitely, because in 2012, that was the year where everybody was just like, my resources are so dried up. You know, everybody was really talking about resources. I don't have any resources, you know. And 2013, there was a shift there in resources. Definitely remembering that. And so, yes, again, you're on point with that. So there is that bubbling up, and resources are many different things, you know. And so from monetary to helpers and so on and so forth. So yes, a lot of like minds are going to be coming together. People getting tired of being beat in the middle of the street. So the resistance still continues, but it can be more stealth.
Well,
Definitely.
since you said stealth, like, as I was telling Miss Paula today, it's almost like that other stuff is entertainment, and I don't say that in a malicious way, family. I'm just saying that you're seeing the separation from the chaff a lot more. You're seeing who is a teacher for the essence of ego and the essence of notoriety, and really basically, I'm just going to say it, BS, and the people who
Mm-hmm.
are actually living their truth and actually coming together with people, not scared to talk to the people, giving out knowledge, and they're going underground. You're seeing like who you can really do that with.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this deeper and more visible separation that's going on that I'm noticing with all of our Earth Keeper brothers and sisters who are giving out all kinds of knowledge, but they're giving it, and then they're just letting it float and going on the underground and not
Mm-hmm.
really getting
Yes.
involved, because it's starting to get it's starting to get a little nutty above ground.
Yeah, and the nuttiness above ground. Let's just talking about just that with sharing information, for instance. Okay. If people in 2014 are really going to start feeling this energy of, I really just want to do me, and I want to do it the way I want to do it, and I'm not interested in what you have to say, folks really have to take that into consideration. Those that are listening, take that into consideration, because you're going to find that as we progress to 2014, um, people are just not interested in what you have to say if it doesn't fit their paradigm, whatever that paradigm is. So we've also moved from a place where people were like, oh, I'm really hungry for information. And this is on a collective, okay? This is not like 100%, but just know that you're going to see waves of this type of behavior, large waves of it. So, a lot of people wanted like a lot of information, okay, on whatever a particular topic, okay. So they got that information, but maybe it doesn't fit their bill right now. Maybe it's just too much or whatever the situation is. But like, for instance, folks knocking on folks' doors on Saturdays and Wednesdays, talking about, I got something to tell you. 2014 ain't the season to be doing that, because people don't want to hear it. You hear what I'm
Wow.
saying?
No,
And
absolutely.
there's a lot of heat in 2014. You understand what I'm saying?
Which will be a continuation, like you said, from 2013, and it will be a continuation of the underground movement. What I mean is, I see you outside, I'm going to throw you a rope, but I'm still going to be drinking my coffee and biscuits, because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to get hit with shrapnel in the head. It most definitely will
Right.
be the same type of energy when it comes to 2014, because we have to cleanse. You said cutting. I believe that we have to
Yeah.
cut things away, and this is important. But if you don't want to get cut, your arm cut as well, you're going to have to be the observer as well.
Be
Going
there.
back to the spiritual on an individual level, I know that this year a lot of people have talked about the growth and essence of their spiritual gifts opening up, them getting in contact with the quote-unquote foundation, the ancestral part, their egum core sort of kind of shifting, if you will. Is the same instance going to be even more powerful in 2014, sis?
Well, that kind of thing, you can't put a stop and end on it, so it just continues to evolve itself. And the only thing that seems to change is the flavor of it. But
right.
But the core of it will continue. And so in 2014, this is on a spiritual level. This again, you have people coming together, wanting to make things better. We had our time of getting in touch with ourselves and going deep. We used 2013 was a very good time to know thyself and to go deeply like that. And so now we are in the networking zone of it, even on a spiritual level. And so you, again, like even when I was saying, I'm having different folks, come and, and we're working together. So the like minds on a spiritual level are going to come together more and say, what can we do, again, to make things better? But people are not going to be standing on the mountaintop shouting to the world about, hey, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is what I think you should do. Even talking on a spiritual level, giving out a whole lot of information. Those that know are saying, this is not the time to do that anymore. And those who don't know may get pie in the eye for doing it. You see?
Indeed.
So yeah, so this is more of a time to connect with spiritual like minds, with like minds on the mundane, on all those levels, and just it's a time for a healing. We had time to work on self. Now we got to work in groups.
And, and it's funny that you say that as far as working on self and working in groups, because I've seen a lot of people in the dream time that I work with in the mundane and the real we've done spiritual work, which is a new thing for me. So that's been a really fascinating progression in 2013, and I know that in 2014 it will continue. I've gotten teachings, from some of my elders in the dream time, which is very profound. I'm like, what you doing here? But that's a part of the new signature and some things that are coming in. And to the mundane and the cosmic, I know in the news they have also found greater discoveries, not greater discoveries, but really profound discoveries as far as astrological in asteroids and all these like weird type of planets and science. I'm a science nerd. I have to ask you.
You're not by yourself.
Okay, girl, you know how we do. How do you think 2014 is going to be? Do you think more things are going to be unearthed through the cosmos and on planet Earth? I mean, I'm telling you, family, if you have not been on the underwire in the nerd phase, they've been discovering all kinds of mummies and new pyramids and all kinds of craziness. Do you think the same is going to happen in 2014?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I think every year we're going to get more and more information in that realm and learn more, because as we open up, we are becoming more accepting. We're not, all that information has always been there, but we just couldn't see it because we weren't ready for it. Just like, now they are talking about, they think they found a way, a portal from Earth to the sun or something of that nature, these black holes and these portals and all these type of things. These things are being talked about. I mean, we're moving to that place like you see in science fiction, where it's like, beam me up, Scotty. I mean, that is a reality that we just have not experienced yet in this realm, but that's where we're moving towards. So just these little things that are happening are preparing us and getting us ready for more and more extraordinary events. that made me think also about this whole thing with the moon shifting. I'm still studying that. Have you been hearing about that?
Yes, I have, girlfriend, but
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's, I
keep
mean, like all kinds of just
mm-hmm.
strange cosmic things are happening. I've noticed that at certain times of the year, the moon, I always knew what time of year it was just based on where the moon was. I mean, of course I know anyway, but I was like, at this particular time of the year, the moon will be facing right here every year, and then about 2 years ago, I noticed, hey, it's supposed to be directly in front of me, and it's over there to the right of me. So I mean, we're going through many different shifts. 2000, they talk about December 21st. What was it? 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thought it was the end of the world. Well, of course we knew it was not the end of the world, but it definitely is marked. If you can mark on a timeline precisely, it marked just a shift in our realities of things.
Yes, ma'am.
So, the moon seems to have gone off course a little bit. Never has that happened before. Um, Black holes and portals are revealing themselves, or we're beginning to understand those. I mean, what we know today as quote unquote normal 50 years from now will be obsolete. It's going to be, you and I can talk about, and many people, we can talk about this shifting for at least the next 40 to 45 years, because that's about how long the people have known things the way they used to be, will be
Mm-hmm.
around to talk about it. Because after that time, what you and I know, like December, there's snow, that's gone, you know?
It's completely shifted. The weather has shifted. Many things have shifted. And again, the reading of the year spoke about this. And this is why
Hmm.
I'm looking at the science of things, because let me tell you, our ancestors were so brilliant. They put science, what we know to be science today, into stories about the keys, songs, dance, all kinds of things. And now people are beginning to decode these things. And it's mind-blowing. And it just seems like it has been accelerating at a huge pace. And I can't wait for 2014 to go down to see what comes out on the burner, if you will, to what's going to be unveiled. Because, again, along with the moon, we have Saturn and Scorpio until 2016 or I think it's 2016 or 2018. So you're going to have all of these, the mysteries, all of these things being revealed, and then we have a 7-year. Hello. That's a very mystic, sage-like, intuitive type of number, if you will. So all of the energy centers are going to open up, meaning of the cosmos and everywhere else. And we're going to get tons of information that people are just, it's going to be so mind-boggling that people just won't be able to really understand it or get it or even conceive of it. So I'm excited for this year. It's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out.
I am too. I really am. I mean, we know that it can be, we can really use this time for a lot of positive movement. A lot of people are going to be creating circles, um, healing circles, mundane circles, a lot of that. So we can really use this time to do a lot of really positive things. And then, on the flip side of that, because let me just say, when you're dealing with the circles of healing, all these other positive circles, that those are all dealing with the aspect of the positive balancing, need to balance. And then the flip side of that is the imbalance. And so we know the aggression and the aggressiveness of the imbalance, and that's what we just have to be very aware of.
No, you're absolutely on point. And, time goes by so quickly, because me and you is like me and my elder. We can be on the phone for like an all night or 12 hours, and we look up like, oh, ain't nothing happened, and everybody looking around like, hello, because there's so much to talk about, and we actually I'm going to be so bold to see if we can get back together and have another conversation before we clock into 2014, because I love it when you talk about the moon and all its happenings and things of this nature, and I know that there's a lot more to share with the family, and I just want to give them that richness of Astrorisa Moon before we go into 2014, because I consider these things to be footnotes, you see. So when we walk into this reality, our realities of identities in which we function in, and we see things, we can recognize them. They'll be like, oh, Miss Moon Lady talked about that. She talked about this, and this. So, okay, now I can move to the side so I don't get hit in the head with a brick. Oh, okay. Or I have a synchronicity with another creative being. Okay, she talked about this, so I can, do my little thing. So we have to bring you back on the HO Network. Yes, I am a hog. I'm just staying in a plane before 2014. But before we leave, I just want to know, is there anything that you need to say to the people or have to say to the people before we get off air?
Well, I want to close it with summing up 2014 with a message that is timeless, and this message is from Tecumseh, Chief Tecumseh of the Shawnee Nation. So, live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their view, and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over the great divide. Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting or passing a friend, even a stranger, when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies only in yourself. Abuse no one and no thing, for abuse turns the wise one to fools and robs the spirit of its vision. When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with the fear of death, so that when their time comes they weep and pray for a little more time to live their lives over again in a different way. Sing your death song and die like a hero going home.
Okay.
And that really sums up 2014. Just live Indeed. Your life. No lies, no sneakiness, truth. Be strong, be positive, be aware, and be in service. And I hope to talk to you before 2014.
Oh, and you most definitely will. And before we go, I just want to thank you for everything that you've contributed to your community, to my community, to me as an individual conscious human being, to my spirit. You are my water sister. You've given a lot of wisdom to me, and I really soak that in. And I'm thankful for that. I thank you for all the things that you have given the community, because I perceive that when one has gifts and you give to the community, and I'm not just talking about Orisha community, I'm talking about humanity at large. It's very profound in nature. And you do that very well, and you contributed to the essence of my spirit, and I want to thank you on my birthday, because this is the best birthday present I could ever have. It is like being on the air with the people that I love, and I care for you very much, and I cannot wait to see what progresses in 2014 with all the beauty that you bring to the world. Thank you, Water Sister, for joining me this evening, and I send you much love and many, many blessings.
Thank you, and happy birthday. Many blessings.
Well, what else can one say, family? There's not much else to say. I will not ruin it by saying anything else, but I send you much love, peace, and joy. And as a good friend of mine always says, Curtis Davis, if you will, from Occult Science Radio, who I love very much. Walk in strength. And until next time, family, good night.
Good night.